It's the EP Podcast. Evergreen Park.
Absolutely packed episode of the EP Podcast coming out of Memorial Day weekend. I hope you had a great one. Back half of the show. Remember last year on this show, we talked about a rat problem in Evergreen Park. Has it gotten better? We're going to find out. We're going to see if there's anything else you can do to help out. And then also, we have a big announcement. Breaking news here on the EP Podcast for all of Evergreen Park. It affects everyone, and it's been a hot button issue. That kicks off the show here in moments. Brought to you by OSF, Little Company of Mary Medical Center. OSF Healthcare is here for you with providers all around this community and, of course, inside of the EP with your health, happiness, and well-being at the heart of everything they do. Count on OSF Healthcare to provide the care, comfort, and support you need, focused on you every step of the way. With access to technologically advanced healthcare solutions, OSF combines innovative treatments with compassionate care to help you achieve your best possible health. Transforming healthcare. OSF Healthcare, OSF, Little Company of Mary Medical Center. Joining me in studio, she has been here before. She was at the previous studio. Hopefully we'll have her very soon at the Spoken Vine Studios. And she's got big stuff to talk about, so we're leading off with her. The Superintendent of District 124, Dr. Jenna Woodland. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me. It's May. We are ready for summer. We're ready to close out the school year strong. 8th graders are graduating next week, so I can't wait to celebrate them.
Are you exhausted at this point? Like I am. I had a kid that I had to bring back from college. I had a prom and graduation with another one, and I have one that's finishing up the 5th grade, and I feel like there's an event or a play or a singing event or a graduate. It's like every night there's something on my calendar, and sometimes I don't realize it till I get up in the morning and look at it. So you must be even more frazzled than me.
We like to call it Maycember. Have you ever heard that?
And it's exactly like December's busy, but at least you get that break at the end where you sit around and eat a bunch of food. May is nonstop.
It is nonstop, but all good things to celebrate here in District 124.
Awesome. Before we get into this interview, which I didn't know until you walked in the door that we were going to be talking about some big stuff with District 124, but we are. Before we do, I just want to remind people, Porter Cullen's over at 99th and Clifton Park is there. You know it's there. It's a great place to go hang out. They offer traditional Irish cuisine, including the legendary corned beef egg rolls, Guinness battered fish and chips, along with an ongoing rotation of homemade daily soups, weekly sandwich and salad specials, and monthly food and drink pairings. From fresh fish tacos to mushroom ravioli, Porter Cullen's has you covered, and they bring us our first guest today on the EP Podcast. And we talked a lot over the last year or so about your dream to build a new Central Middle School.
Yes.
And then there was a point where you pulled back.
Yeah, we did. We definitely pulled back, and it was really driven on a community response. So our original proposal was close to $109.8 million, and that included renovations to our elementary schools as well as addressing a new middle school. And we really heard loud and clear from the community that it was just too big of an ask. But we also heard loud and clear from the community that we really need to address Central Middle School.
So in your research, you because I remember when this started, you did a panel. You had the mayor on the panel. For some reason, you picked me to be on the panel. You had a bunch of
we picked you.
Bunch of community. The podcaster was on the panel. A bunch of community leaders and this guy. But there were a lot of people that you wanted to get information from. You wanted to just see. You wanted to get a feel, because the main thing was that you wanted to know if people found it to be a necessary thing. And then secondly, would they be okay with the price tag? And what you found was people said, yes, this school is pretty much falling apart. It's not conducive to learning. There's a weird smell in the basement. There's all this stuff that's happening. Kids can't walk down the hallways. It's not good, but that's expensive.
Yeah.
And so you went back to the drawing board, and what do you have to announce today?
So we went back to the drawing board, and it is now our firm recommendation to really consider just building a new middle school.
But you are going to go forward.
I plan to make a recommendation to the board in August to put a ballot question for voter consideration on the November ballot.
Okay. And now, just so that people understand this, I know what it means, but I just want to make sure we clarify for those that are listening or anybody that's watching on the YouTube channel. This is the thing that says, would you be okay with a property tax hike?
That is correct.
To build this building.
Yep.
And if you get enough yes votes, if you get more yeses than nos, it's basically like if it's 51% to 49, you get the go ahead. And that's what happens.
That's exactly it.
Okay, so the price tag, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about the price tag.
It was expensive. The new proposal, what's the difference?
So the difference is pretty significant. And I'm actually really proud of our architect firm, proud of our board, proud of our facilities committee for really taking a deep dive into looking at the essentials. What do we really need to deliver high quality instruction to our kids? And also with an extreme focus, as always, on safety and security in today's world. And so we still plan to deliver one of the safest schools in Illinois to our community. And that would include a total cost at $68 million.
What was it before? It was way up there, right? Over 100 million?
Well, that was for our elementary buildings as well. So the original cost of our middle school was closer to 75. So we have cut it down to 68.
Okay.
But the tax impact for a $300,000 assessed home, again, I just recommend everyone looks at the actual tax documents. Don't look at Zillow, but your tax assessment that verifies how much your home is worth and what you can be taxed on. So that tax impact would be close to $604 annually, which is less than or approximately $50 a month, which is approximately $1.67 a day.
Okay.
Less than a coffee.
Okay.
At the Starbucks or the Dunkin' Donuts.
It is. It's less than a lot of things these days.
Less than a lot of things.
But your initial assessment, the initial thing you're going to ask for, the full package with all the schools and everything like that, I want to say that was almost double the tax impact. So
double.
So you've cut the tax impact for what you were originally asking for in half.
In half.
With what you're doing.
Yep.
So then the follow-up question to that is, to get that much of a reduction, and you've had to make some cuts to what you wanted, did you have were you looking at a Cadillac building for Central Middle School, and now you're going with a Toyota?
That's a great analogy. I really love that analogy. And it's just about functionality. And again, delivering still high quality instruction, a high quality environment for our kids. Again, focusing on safety and security. But yes, there were some really difficult decisions that we needed to make, but they were essential decisions. And it's because we want to meet the taxpayer where they're at and make sure it's also affordable.
So this is still a new building, though. I remember the original plan was to put the building in the parking lot, so it'll be right up against 95th Street.
Yes.
While the kids are going to school in Central, because it'll take a couple years to build this if it goes through.
Yes.
So you're building a new building. You have made some cuts.
Yes.
So what happens if, let's say, enrollment goes up, or you find later you did need some of the things that you had? Would you have to rebuild another building, or have you built in the ability to expand? Because if people are going to commit to the building, you want to make sure the building's going to be around for a long time.
Yes, that's an excellent question. I have absolutely no concerns about the cuts that we made. We made no cuts to programming. How you really eliminate cost is really addressing square footage. So we took a deep dive into enrollment projections, along with addressing some things that we thought were in consideration with our architects were oversized. So for example, some square footage was cut off of our kitchen, or, we eliminated maybe one or two science labs, but every child would still have access to that science lab to, again, provide for their instructional need.
And there's still proper functionality then, because rember, I've done the tour of the other school.
Yeah, so much more functional, Chris.
I wouldn't even get in your elevator. I was afraid I'd get stuck in it.
Because you shouldn't.
And then I noticed that you have to change classes through other classrooms sometimes. And again, there was a weird smell down there, and the cafeteria is not functional whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And sometimes kids are walking through a basement level that looks like a horror movie.
Yes.
And the worst thing was the doors opening up. And it still exists. And unless you get enough yes votes, that will continue to exist, where the doors open up and basically cut down the hallway to half the size. You talk about square footage, that it bottlenecks everybody.
Yes.
And that has been a real issue as well. So even with the cuts, all that stuff is going to be improved upon.
All of that will be improved upon drastically, and really provide for 21st century learning that kids need and deserve. At the end of the day, this is about kids. And I have so many parents who say, like, I had a basketball game at another district, and wow, their middle school is so beautiful. And, I had the opportunity to travel to, a different high school or whatever it might be, or even our high school in Evergreen Park. Like, what they've done to their facilities are just unbelievably amazing. And so why can't our middle school students have that same experience?
Yeah. Okay. So now what we'll have is we're going to have a ballot measure in November. You've cut the property tax burden. And again, you give the example of a $300,000 house. Somebody has less of that. They are actually going to end up paying less on their property taxes. If they have more, they pay more. But I mean, you're giving an example of it so that if somebody wants to find out what the impact is there a way for them to figure that out?
Yes. So we plan to update our website with all new information over the summer months. As previously, there will be a tax calculator that would be located on our website that people could go to determine what that tax impact is directly tied to their own home.
It sounds like you're really trying to be transparent.
Every time.
Right? Like, that's the one thing I've gotten with this whole thing. Look,
Yeah.
I see the social media comments. There'll be comments on this show. You know that.
Yes.
This show's going to come out, and there's going to be people saying we should do this, and there's going to be people saying this is crazy.
Yep.
I'm going to get mail from people going, thank you for talking about this. I'm going to get mail from people saying you're a jerk for, you should have been meaner to her or something like that. Like, that happens
Yes.
every time this subject comes on the EP podcast, okay? But what I've picked up throughout the entire process, and I don't think anybody can deny it, is that from the focus groups, from speaking with everybody in the community, from opening up Central, from offering personal tours from you.
Personal tours, I'll keep doing them.
And answering questions if somebody calls your phone. I've seen you and members of the board sit down at events in Evergreen when somebody goes, I got a bone to pick with you. And I can see somebody literally waving their hands at somebody from like above their head, like really animated with somebody from the school board or you, and very calmly sitting there and answering all the questions. And you're going to put all the information up on the site so people can really get an idea of what the impact is to them and what they're actually getting for their money.
100%. And, if I could just applaud my Board of Education, they've done such an amazing job. Huge props to Michael Allmiller. I mean, he has been just driving this with me, and I just greatly appreciate that. And he has 3 kids in the system, and I think he recognizes the need. And transparently, any person who's walked the building with me, Chris, and you went through several of those tours, no one, once they walk the building, no one questions it. And that's every time. And it's because there's a direct need.
So you talk about the kids.
Yeah.
You talk about people with kids in the system.
Yep.
So who benefits from this? This is going to take a couple of years for it to be built. So like, what year is going to finally get into the school? Do you have a timeline? Do you have a breakdown for people?
Yes, I have a lovely timeline that will also be on our website in the near future. So in the event it were to pass on the November ballot, our current 4th grade students would then have access to that by their 8th grade year, which is just really exciting to think about. So there's quite a bit that obviously, like, construction takes a long time, drawings, bids, making sure we take down our current building. And what we really want to prioritize is not having any interruptions to current instruction. So our students would still have access to instruction. There would be no disruption. And obviously that's always at the forefront of our minds.
Okay. I have Dr. Jenna Woodland here, and the question that's rattling around in my...
I actually think I shocked you today. I'm like seeing the face images.
I mean, I didn't expect this is what we were going to talk about today. Like, I was like, we're going to wrap up the school year. We're going to do... I mean, like, that's what I really thought. And I thought this thing was dead. I thought this was dead. I was like, she's not coming back to this for a year or two. And which was also scary to me because I remember all the different studies and the idea that if you're going to do this, you want to do this now because the cost is never going down for supplies.
It is never
it's never going down for labor. It's never going down for material. It is what it's going to go up. So this building becomes more and more expensive the longer that you wait. And so I remember that, but I did not expect this when you came in here today. Mm-hmm. So I guess my question is ballot measure in November. And I want you to correct me if I'm wrong here, but I'm trying to remember what I learned over the time that we've been talking. Happens in November. you're looking for a yes. You have to, I remember that the thing was you had to be confident based on your research, based on your studies, based on getting polling of people in the area that you could get enough yeses to pass this, because a no really causes an awful lot of problems. It's not like you can just show up the next time and do this again.
Sure.
So this is a big deal to try to get the yeses. So what is your confidence level, and how important is it for somebody who says we need this to not say, well, I'm going to vote it down this time because I'm sure they'll come back around again. They need to make the decision now, right?
I think that there's a critical urgency, and that urgency has to happen in order to benefit our students in the community. The longer we wait, again, the more expensive it's going to be. You only have so many opportunities to do it right, to do it well. There's never going to be a good time. I mean, last time we were attempting this, tariffs were front page of the news. Now, we are in an unfortunate situation in our world with, a war that we're experiencing.
Yeah, my gas is $100 every time I fill up the SUV. It's brutal.
And I think there's, again, just never going to be a good time. But, I have to quote a community member, and she said to me, I'm going to give a shout out to Nilda Ramirez. She said to me, Jenna, I'd rather know where my money is going to go to. Your money's always going to go somewhere, but why not invest it into your community? And what I know about Evergreen Park is people love their community and they love to give back to the community. And what a great way to do that. All
right. Dr. Jenna Woodland came in here and dropped bombs on the EP podcast. I mean, it makes me feel cool that you were like, this the first time we're announcing this to anyone. I'm like, holy cow.
Yeah.
I get to break some news on my little podcast. It's really exciting to me. But I mean, you blew me away with this one. I had to change everything I was going to ask you in a split second to try to come up with it while we were sitting here talking. But hopefully I answered enough questions. If people have more questions, if they want to learn more, where do we direct them? Are they calling you? Are they getting on the website? What's going on?
They can email me. They can, email tours@d124.org. If they still want to take a tour, happy to set any of that up. So direct access to me at any time.
All right. We'll be following this all the way to November and hopefully beyond. And
yes.
It'll be so interesting. I personally hope it works out for you. You know what my feelings were on this.
Thank you.
My biggest fear when we did the panel was the price tag. And the fact you slashed it in half is pretty much what I kind of thought you needed to get to.
Yep.
But even though I don't think my opinion means anything. I was like, stupid podcast guy, who cares about his opinion? But I felt like I should raise my hand at least once when I was there. And it feels like you got to the thing that was my biggest concern when you were talking about it. So I wish you the best. You must.
Thank you so much.
Try not to stress out about too much. Yeah.
I'm so hopeful, Chris.
Thank you, and good luck to you.
Thank you.
Building relationships, supporting the community, and service. These are the things that Country Financial stands for. They're more than just an office you may pass by as you drive through Evergreen Park. They're neighbors who lend a helping hand and support the fabric of your community, including charitable organizations, sports, financial education, and civic organizations. And since Country is already your neighbor, they want to get together and chat. Call your local Country Financial representative, Mike Thauer, today at 708-425-1559 to talk about the things that are important to you and how he can help you protect them. It is now time for your EP podcast, Word on the Street, brought to you by Spoken Vine Wine Bar and Bottle Shop, northeast corner of 95th and Kedzie. We'll be there on the next episode of the EP podcast. Frank Murray from the Evergreen Park Public Library is sitting down with us, as he does every month. Summer reading is kicking off. I'm sure a lot of other big events at the library. Summer's always really busy there. And then Spoken Vine always has new things on that menu, new wines to try. Such a selection, the lunch menu, the dinner menu, the place to go with friends, go out on date night, just go exploring yourself. What a great bar to just sit at, meet new people, and learn a little bit about wine and try some amazing food. And remember, they got a bottle shop, so you can buy some wine. There's a wine club. And then they also have the wine tasting events. There's so much going on. I could talk about it forever. Just go to SpokenVineWines.com, though, and see it all and get in there very, very soon. The Evergreen Park Community Garage Sale Days are coming up very soon. June 6th and 7th from 9 a.m. until 6 p.m. This is the weekend in which you don't need a permit, and there are garage sales all over the village. You still have until June 2nd to go to evergreenpark-ill.com and register. And then there's going to be a list of participating locations in advance for everybody that wants to go around for one day or both days of garage sale days. A big, exciting, fun thing that happened last year. I think for the first time, they're bringing it back and expecting it to be even bigger. June 6th and 7th coming up very soon. Even sooner than that, on Wednesday, Children's Health Fair this week, the 19th annual Children's Health Fair at the Evergreen Park Firehouse, 9000 South Kedzie Avenue, taking place from 3:30 until 6:30 p.m. with free height, weight, BMI, and health screenings. Meet OSF Healthcare, Little Company of Mary Medical Center providers, healthy fun activities, and so much more. A free event open to kids of all ages, their parents, and their families. And do not forget that the Farmers Market is open at Yukich Field, 89th and Kedzie, every Thursday, including this one, 8 a.m. until 1 p.m. It goes on from now through the end of October. In the month of May, experience all things spring and come check out the vendors with spring plants and flowers. The market brought to you by the Office of Citizen Services. We mentioned it last week. They got a big trip to Chattanooga. This thing it's a long trip, September 28th through October the 3rd. They're going to Chattanooga, they're going to Nashville, they're going to Louisville. You can go by yourself, you can do a double occupancy room. There's all kinds of details up on the village website. Figure out how to sign up, get all the details, ask all your questions, call OCS at 708-422-8776. One of our most listened to episodes of last year was this gentleman right here. Geoff Layhe is with me. He hunts down the rats in Evergreen Park. What's your official title? It's not rat hunter.
No.
Correct. No.
I have several titles. I am the supervisor of inspections, and I'm also the health inspector. That's where the rats tie in with the health, because rats are a health issue.
That's correct. Okay, so last year this kind of blew up a little bit. I remember that it became a thing on social media. I remember it became a thing that I kind of learned speaking with the mayor and village officials, that there seemed to be an influx of rats in Evergreen Park. I do find it interesting. You came walking in today to kind of talk about it, getting ready for the summertime, and you were showing me like your worksheet and places that you were going. It feels as though you may not be as busy, at least at this point, as you might have been last year. Is it improving? I guess I want to start off with that.
I think substantially, and part of the reason is we've been more proactive in the reporting. And you'd think that if you had more reports, that you'd have more issues. But the reports that we get are preventative. We do, and it's a good plug for me now, we do have a rat hotline, and that number is 708-577-7287. And you can call that number, and we have somebody monitoring it every day. That doesn't mean like they'll be there that day, but they'll be there within a few days, but no later than the end of the week. And that has proved to be successful. The other thing we did last summer was, because of the influx, we hire Anderson Pest Control, which is a professional organization that specializes in pest control, and also they do rat abatement.
Okay.
And they use the most modern techniques, and they use the most modern. We use a bait. It's not poison. It's like Coumadin. It's an industrial type form of Coumadin. So when the rats ingest this bait, is what it is, some of it comes in a mustard like looking container, a plastic container. But there's other ones, if there's a large like industrial area, or we're in a setting like in a park area, like a nature preserve type of area, which we have one or two.
Yeah, you got a few of those here.
Yeah. And so we use the big blocks, and before we go out, we have somebody go out from my department or myself looking. They get the reports, and they go, and it's usually Ann Williamson, who is our animal control officer, and she also monitors the rat hotline. She'll go out there, and she'll meet with the residents, scour the area to see where the rats are emanating from, and most times, you can spot them by digging. Okay, the rats dig and they create like a hole, but they also create dirt around the hole. So she goes out and talks with the residents, asks them where they think they're coming from. She checks the perimeter of the yard. She even goes into garages. And it's very rare that you have a rat in a house. But she checks all that out before we even go there. Now, she does this not on a daily basis, but a couple times a week at least.
Yeah.
And then the mayor last year, because we did have that influx, increased the amount of patrols. We used to just go out on Fridays. Last summer, we went out on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. During the fall, because it's less active and people aren't out, and we went down to Mondays and Fridays. Currently, we're down to Monday and Fridays, and that's due, in fact, just because of the fact that we've really put a big dent in our problem.
It's not as bad right now.
Not nearly as bad.
The substance that you were describing, you said it wasn't a poison. So this is safe, let's say, if a pet or a child came in contact with it. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it won't poison them, but what it does is it causes internal bleeding. It's
that's not
Coumadin.
good. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and they bleed out. Now, if your dog or whatever, we've never had a case where a child ingested it, but say for a pet dog or something, if you notice them becoming lethargic or, odd, then, and we've been out there, the best thing to do is take them to the veterinarian and they give them a B12 shot.
And that fixes it all up.
Well, usually, yeah. We've never lost a dog.
But it's not like you don't put it someplace without somebody calling you out there. So the residents are aware it's there, where all the stuff is. Right, they're calling you to come over.
Yeah, and we tell them before we leave, we go, well, we got it here, we got it there. And, if they have a dog, we say, hey, look, we make them sign a waiver. This is still Coumadin. It's not like poison, like it's not arsenic.
But it's not good for the dog. So
no,
you guys need to be cautious with what you're doing with the dog.
That's exactly right.
Okay, that makes sense.
Ann is our animal control warden, and she's very good at that. She's a retired Chicago police detective. Homicide detective, actually. So she's good with people, and she's a very intelligent woman. And she's very good with explaining as to what we're going to do and how we're going to do it.
Awesome. Okay, so I saw you gave me a list of like all the different places that you've had calls where people reach out and ask you, like, can you come and take a look? I think I saw a rat. I think we've got an issue. I found it really interesting, broken down by quadrants, that I think the Southwest quadrant in total, if you just take the other three quadrants and put them up against the Southwest quadrant, I think there's still more calls in the Southwest quadrant. It seems to be the one where you're getting far more calls at. Is that because there are more rats over there, or is that because that quadrant is more apt to call you? What causes that to happen?
A little of both, but in the particular case this year, because the calls are less than usual, I think that the people in the Southwest quadrant are more proactive, okay? And they
call. If they see a problem, they call.
Yeah, they're not shy to call. No, not at all. And
so if you're saying if somebody's in another quadrant, hey, folks, just see a rat, that's not normal. Call you guys.
Exactly.
You've got a better handle on it this year than you had last year. There seems to be some real impact that's been made.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I mean, I can't explain it any other way. And I think the fact that I'm on this show and that we have brochures, which we'll talk about later, but we're more proactive, but the people are more cognizant of the fact that, hey, we got a problem, we should be aware of it. Now,
and the other thing is, and not to interrupt, but the other thing is you have, you've done a very good job, I think, of trying to get out the word of things that people can do to cut down on rats. I actually had somebody ask me about this when I told them that I was having you on the show. And I said, well, if I remember from last year, pick up your dog poop, cut your lawn, remove things that they can use to make nests, like simple things like that. Make sure there isn't like a way for them to sneak into your garage or shed, so that because then what you're doing is you're basically creating a place for them. Am I remembering that correctly?
Those
are the things
you are. And it seems to be working. And the fact that we do it more frequently seemed to have had a big impact on the amount of calls we receive and the amount of rats that we've abated. And the areas, I'll give you a breakdown just to kind of go back to what you were saying. In the southwest area this year so far, and see, we track this better too. We actually do spreadsheets on this. I mean, we're really proactive. And so the southwest area had 593 calls, reports. It doesn't mean they had 593 homes that had rats, but reports. The southeast had 196. The northwest had 168, and the northeast had 102. So those are low numbers. And last year, the southwest was probably in the middle or towards the bottom, and this year they're on the top. And now that doesn't mean that they've been infiltrated with rats. It just means that the people are more comfortable about calling a rat hotline and reporting what they see. They're more proactive.
Right. Well, one of the crazy things is I learned this year I have an overhang that kind of protects an area outside on my patio. Mm-hmm. And that I left like real wood charcoal briquettes because I like to smoke. Mm-hmm. So I left them next to the smoker out there. Mm-hmm. And there was a moment where I walked outside one day and I was like, why are there shreds of the bag from all over the place? A rat had gone into the charcoal bag, ripped it apart from the inside, created a nest behind where it was leaning. And until I investigated, I had no idea that there was a nest back there. Because to me, I'm like, well, what are they going to do with charcoal briquettes? They're going to find a way to make a nest out of anything. That's why you really have to be cognizant of what you leave out.
That is true.
Because I remember thinking to myself, like, well, I pretty much cleaned the backyard. There's no way. And there I am. I unfortunately contributed to the problem because I didn't realize they would take the bag and use the particles of the bag and rip it apart into shreds and make something with it. It was crazy to me.
And then the charcoal emanates some kind of a smell, and if they're filtered with some kind of flavor, enhancement. The rats have real keen senses of smell. They're not real good with their eyes, but that's why they have the long whiskers and whatnot, because their eyesight isn't that good, but their sense of smell is phenomenal, and that would explain that. And number one, you mentioned, pick up your dog in animal feces.
Yes. Number
two, and this is a real problem, monitor your bird feeders. Now, the bird seed usually has those, the beans, the sunflower seeds.
Okay.
And rats love those things.
Will they climb up the trees and get into it? Or
they'll climb up the trees, or they'll try to get in a pole, and they'll go
up the pole.
And hit it so that it disperses on the ground.
So if you like bird feeders, you're not realizing that these things can climb and they're going after that stuff.
You can use bird feeders, but what we recommend is that when you have the bird feeder, you put something underneath it so that if the birds knock it off, most people have the cylinders with the plastic cylinders, and the birds come in and peck and get their food. But when they do that, sometimes it knocks it loose. So the best preventative, because everyone wants, a lot of people feed them.
Have a catch tray that stops them from hitting the ground.
And it really has a big impact.
Okay.
It has a huge impact.
Okay.
Now the other thing is, since we've moved to that subject, is Evergreen Park has a lot of evergreen trees, obviously.
Yes.
But they have tons of gardens. And I know my sister is a big gardener. She lives in Evergreen Park, okay? She just gardens. It's her hobby. And she is not alone. Back when I was a young boy, they didn't have a lot of gardens. Today, there's at least 2-3 gardens on each block.
Oh, there's not only a lot of gardens, but in certain areas of Evergreen Park, they have those like alleys that really aren't alleys where like people are growing things back there. They're doing community gardens. And it's really cool, but it really does create an environment, I would think.
Well, I learned a new word from that. You got to cull your garden. And cull just means to pick up unnecessary or particles, whether it be, trash, or whether it be sometimes the tomatoes. They don't get eaten or they don't get picked, and they fall to the ground, and then you'll see squirrels, but you'll also see rats. So if you have a garden, you got to cull that garden, just like a farmer does in a country. Also, a problem sometimes emanates from inoperative vehicles. Like, okay, I got a 65 Malibu, and I'm going to put it in my garage. Well, it's been sitting in that garage for 10 years. It hasn't moved, and it hasn't been fixed.
And now it's a nest.
Well, it's a big nest.
Yeah.
That's right. And what they do is, they chew on stuff. They gnaw on stuff. On the interiors of the cars, but also in the motors. And they like to embed in the motors because it's safe, and people don't open the hood or the car would be running, right?
Right.
Yeah, and that's a big attraction to them. The other thing that we suggest too is wood piles. Elevate the wood piles. A lot of people in Evergreen Park have chimneys, and they also have barbecue pits that they convert to.
Yes, they do. There are people who cook with wood, and there are people that have fireplaces. Yeah,
that's exactly right.
Yeah.
So if you have that, that's great, but keep it clean. Also, under the porches and the decks and the patios, you got to keep that area clutter-free because they would like to hide. That's what you just mentioned it with the crickets that you had. They're looking for places. They're very paranoid, and so they're looking for places.
Well, they're rats.
Yeah.
And they know everybody hates them. I'd be paranoid too.
Well, that's well put.
I want them paranoid, Jeff. I want them scared. I want them running away. I want them out of Evergreen Park.
There you go. And you're not alone, my friend. The other thing I wanted to mention too, because we talked about old cars and we talked about garbage, but what people also do with gardens is they have the compost bins. So if you're going to have a compost bin and you put eggs and whatnot in there, what you want to make sure is that you have a wooden bin, and if you can, have some metal siding around it because it'll be more difficult for the rats to get into.
Okay.
And the other thing, obviously, is with the bird feeders. They recommend that you put it in the center of your yard rather than near the trees or the flowers because then the rats are exposed and they don't like to be exposed like we've talked about.
Because they're paranoid.
Exactly. Exactly. You hit it right on the head. Well, like I said, when you feed the critters, you unintentionally feed the rats.
Right. That's the thing you got to watch out for. And again, pick up the dog waste. Call Jeff. If you have a rat issue, call the rat hotline. It's literally, instead of the bat phone, it's the rat phone. 708-577-7287. And I love the idea that we talked about this last year, and it seemed like it was a much bigger problem. And then your department got out a lot of information to the public. You guys set up a rat hotline. You start working with a pest control group. You triple your efforts going out, and you can actually see real results as we get ready for the summer. And the only thing that keeps those results moving in a positive direction is everybody remember the stuff that Jeff just went over and clean up in the backyard and pay attention to those tips. And you can get, I want to say, you can get tips. Some of the stuff you said is up on the village website at evergreenpark-ill.com.
And we do have brochures at the village hall that kind of reiterate this, and they have graphics on it. What a rat hole looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see it there,
Trust me, I'll look at the brochure, but if I'm not sure, I'm just going to call the rat phone, and I'm going to get one of you out there to take a look.
Yeah, right.
For sure.
And that's what we do.
That's perfect. That's awesome. Geoff Layhe, thanks so much.
Thank you. I appreciate your help, and it's really a valuable resource for the community.
It's the EP Podcast. All things Evergreen Park. It's the EP Podcast. Evergreen Park.